Good evening. This is Darlene Griffiths, and this is my personal intro, How Safe and Equitable is Your District for EDL 955. Just a little bit about myself. I grew up in Oklahoma, and when you live in Oklahoma, either you're an Oklahoma State fan or an OU fan, and I am a big Oklahoma State fan. I moved to Kansas in 1998 to begin teaching, and I never left. I've been married for 20 years to my husband, Dwayne, and we have 2 boys, and I love to garden. This is my 24th year in education. I spent 21 years as a high school math teacher. Then I took on a position as a district test coordinator, and they found out that I was good at that, so they added MTSS director and ESOL program coordinator and CTE coordinator to that for my first year. So then the next year when I stayed there, in addition to wearing those hats, I also added middle school principal to my repertoire. Then I moved back closer to home and I became a pre-K-12 building principal for this year. My goals: I want to retire from education in about 8 years when I'm eligible. I do want to first finish my superintendent certification by the end of summer 2022. So why did I want to become a district administrator? My current superintendent is retiring for the second time, and he suggested that this would be a good stepping stone and I could move right into his position after he retired. He said that I was very capable and that I would be good at it. And in addition to that, I love stress and I want all my hair to fall out. This sums up how the year has gone so far. So what is a safe school environment? The characteristics I found in the articles have to include safety. And we're not talking about metal detectors and bulletproof glass. We're talking about safety in that our students feel safe when they come to school. The articles also talked about the health and well-being of everyone, not just students, but staff. Right now, we keep talking about how morale is very low for teachers and how we need to build morale. So having a safe school environment would provide that. And then there's a sense of belonging, not just for students, but for families and for teachers. So who benefits from a safe school environment? Well, of course, the students do, but the teachers as well as the community stakeholders who enter our buildings on a daily basis. So how does your district compare to the research on safe school environments? I found the article where it talked about how our schools have asbestos and they have lead-based paint and they have PCBs in the lighting. I found this to be true. My building that I work in was originally built in 1929, and so there are places in it that are probably not the safest, including the fire escapes and different parts where we store things. So like I said, this is a 1929 building, and this is actually a picture of the corner of it. It has been added onto many, many times. It was built for use. It wasn't built for aesthetics. It wasn't built, it was built for a purpose, and that was to educate students. It wasn't put there for, to make sure that kids felt good about entering when it was built. I would have to say that most of the classrooms, if not all of them, have some natural lighting. They have windows. However, the wiring demands of all the technology that we have now cannot be met by a 1929 building. So future implications. If I were to move into that superintendent position, how do I maintain these facilities? I am not a plumber. I am not an electrician. I am not a mechanical engineer. I don't know when the air conditioner is going to give out. I don't know when the pipes are going to burst. I need someone to come in and inspect and give me some idea as to how do I put together a facilities plan long term that is going to take care of the needs as they arise. So then, how do architects plan and design educational equity? What are the characteristics? The first thing is to include a variety of voices. You can't just listen to the loudest, squeakiest wheels. You have to be able to fulfill the needs of all learners and collaborate to come up with solutions to challenges. And our classrooms have to be able to be rearranged and look different than they have in the past, because we have to differentiate, we have to integrate, and we have to be culturally responsive to the learners that walk through our doors. We have to offer them opportunities that have not been offered in the past. So, of course, who benefits? The same groups of people that benefit from a safe environment: our students, our teachers, and our stakeholders. So what design characteristics does your district have that compare to the research on design educational equity? So if you go across the country, you see the cookie cutters there. Most schools have the same cookie cutter view. They all look similar because we built buildings for people that think like us, that we're going to use them like us, that everyone's had the same purpose. And now our purpose has changed a little bit from 1929 or from the 1950s, whenever your building was built, and we have to be able to meet those needs for all of our learners. So how is this relevant to me and to my district? By including stakeholders in the design process and considering the nuances of their experiences, we can create space that gives students a sense of agency. So being able to include those students, what do they see? Right now in a third, fourth grade classroom, that looks completely different from when I was in school and from when many of our voters were in school. And so I'm going to use the example of the previous district that I was in. They're voting on November 2nd for a school bond to be issued to build a new 7 through 12 building. But as I sat through the planning meetings beforehand, I looked around and I got to thinking, all of these people come from the same backgrounds as me. There is no diversity here. There is nobody speaking from a different perspective than the same as myself. So what they get will be very similar to what they have, because they don't have any other perspectives on that. So future implications. We all have that implicit or unconscious bias that we have to know that we have. We have to focus on improved student well-being. We're not just talking about their safety as far as their physical safety, but we're also talking about their mental well-being, their social emotional well-being, and offer opportunities for them to experience learning in a totally different way than what we have done in the past. So CLO 5.2 correlation. How do your current district leaders effectively collaborate and communicate with diverse families, community members, partners, and other constituencies with regards to sustaining safe and equitable public school facilities? So I think it's important. I'm going to use that example of my previous district where they're doing a school bond, and the same people were making the decisions that always make the decisions. And instead of it personally inviting people with a different perspective, people from a different socioeconomic status than what was there, we're not involved in that conversation, and I think that's important. We have to step back and view it through a different lens, not just the lens that we see things through all the time. Look at it from the perspective of an English language learner. Look at it from the perspective of a homeless child. Look at it from the perspective of someone who has mental disabilities or mental disease. We have to just change our lens that we currently look through. And then we also have to look for ways to collaborate with the community, to use our facilities, not just for school during the day, but for the community to use after the school day, and be able to share those things. And then how can we reconfigure Our classrooms, we don't just want four walls anymore. We want those walls to be movable so that we can do lots of different learning activities that involve moving around and using technology and bringing in all sorts of things for students to experience. So I think all of those are important as we move forward. So here are my references, and I wish you all a great night. Thank you.